Right. I'm gonna get started in a second. Be a bit patient with me. Hey everybody. Hello there, John. Hello there, work email. Christoph. Hello. Hello, John again. Give me a second, guys. I'm getting things set up. Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here. Just give me a sec. I'm getting things set up, sending links and all that wonderful stuff. So please be patient with me. Opening the chat, just to be up to speed so I can follow you guys and make sure you guys are following. Don't worry, I'm not gonna forget to turn the screen on this time. I swear. Give you my word. Hello, hello. All right, give me a sec. Let people join in the time being. Again, as before, I'm not gonna be waiting for too long. I'm just gonna get things here sorted out and get started, okay? All right, let's go. Well, you guys should be able to hear me now pretty well and see the screen, and everything should be fine. So we should be running here. All right, so first of all, I don't know, those of you who noticed the results from Microsoft have been revised. At first they came in red. I don't even remember what it was as it was changing. Now we got earnings with a surprise of an 0.48%, not really 0.5% even. On revenue, we got a surprise of just above a 0.5%, 0.54%, you can see. So the market is kind of slow to react to the whole thing, so at least for the time being, but we are starting to see a bit of a correction. And as you guys know, I do sound a bit bearish lately. I'm not really bearish. Those of you who know me understand that it's the temporary normal sort of procedure of the market. You can see a bit of a correction. The way we're going to go over a bit of everything, so everybody's going to be up to speed on what's going on. But for the time being, I do think this is a bit of a panic sell-off. Just you'll see in a second why I think so. The way things are positioned, it looks like the market is already sort of pre-positioning itself, or at least the market makers pre-positioning themselves to close part of this gap. Don't forget they are trading actively and repositioning themselves actively, so that's not going to be a big surprise if we're going to see this gap close. More so if we're really going to look at the S&P and sort of assess how things are going to pan out tomorrow, we have just already this movement that happened. And the one thing that already stands out to me, there is this resistance level that we spoke about before, the 23.60% that resides at 5,428 flat, which is kind of nice. But as you can see, the sort of the differences is before, if we were testing it as basically as support, now we're testing it as a resistance. We're slowly over churning to the other side. Now at this point, it's more so being tested as a resistance, less than the support. I do think just kind of looking at this, just even this structure, looking at this, we don't know how the gap will look like by the time we open up tomorrow. We might close it and move around several times over before the market reopens tomorrow, and so the pre-market. So there's still a lot of movement that could be ahead, and this gap could disappear basically. So I'm more or less perceiving this to be just more or less, as you can see again, something very similar here, pardon me, something very similar right here on the bottom. As you can see, I made the line so you can a little bit see better. Yes, there is a bit of a convergence, but that happens. These sort of circumstances are rather normal. And remember, although I am saying that we will see howdy Casey. So I do think we will see an overall deeper correction, and it's justified by what we are seeing on the monthly chart, and it's justified by the other larger time frames. If it's the weekly, all the stuff we spoke about before and saw in the previous videos. But for the time being, I do think this is a bit of a panic sell-off, and I think tomorrow there will be somewhat of a correction. Oftentimes I tell you guys, when we move upwards, we have breathers, right? So if you, all in all, if for example, to assess the circumstance, yes, the price action ran hot, we've corrected downwards, okay, we've had several impulses in this process, but all in all, we're still residing within the same channel, if you will, the same resistance, the same support, nothing out of the ordinary, with all that crazy movement that we got today. This is more or less just us wasting time and retesting. Probably most of the action will come tomorrow. Tomorrow we have important reports, so which I do think may move the market. Although we're not really assessing, I mean, we've kind of spoken about this before, and most know that we're not really assessing from the Fed to hike rates nor lower rates at this point, so it's a bit too early to say. We might be talking about this on the next meeting. Right now, it's irrelevant. Most of you guys know that I assess that things are far worse than they're presenting. That's a whole different argument. We're here. We're not here to debate the fundamentals and how we all assess them. We're here just to look at the technicals, at the bottom line, right? So the bottom line, all in all, as you can tell, nothing really happened. We're kind of stuck in the same support or resistance. But we will see tomorrow whether we'll be breaking back into that range, right? Testing and sort of closing that gap that will potentially will be opened up. Or will we actually find resistance at that level that those of you who have not heard, I've mentioned before, that 5428. Okay, that might be a level that we'll be testing now as a resistance and continuing to move downwards. If you want to know sort of where my next support resides, it actually sits significantly low, although this does not mean it's going to be a direct impulse downwards. The market doesn't work like that. We're probably going to be retesting this level several times over and making sure it is a resistance, and only then we're going to have several channels that are rather important, rather strong within. I will not be breaking them down here, but what I am mostly sort of saying that potentially the strong next checkpoint is that one. It's that 4,820. You might be saying, well, that's very low. Right, I understand, but this chart is the continuous chart, so it's sort of the chart that contains the pre and post market in essence, so it will look slightly different, hence the supports and resistances on it will look a little different. Right now, if we're going to get back to sort of the daily running chart, you will find that there are various, for example, one of the things we've done today that's sort of great, we've closed most of the gap, and I'm saying most because it's not the entire gap. Those who are aware to the importance of gaps know. Those who don't know, of course, should join the community, be there when I talk, Discord and all that wonderful stuff. Join the Zoom calls, be very attentive, because I think I've broken down the idea of gaps a bajillion times at this point. Some weird number in any case. So as you can tell, we still have a bit of this gap left over to be closed, so we can actually be satisfied. And I wouldn't say that this momentum is sort of generating, but what we're seeing here potentially can bring us upwards, right? Remember, we're looking at the 1 minute chart. This is something very temporary. Once we open the market, we're probably going to have a knee-jerk reaction with the potential gap over there. We're not sure how this is going to play out, but we're probably going to waste some time on this whole procedure. So you might as well ignore all this, because it's going to change as we're going to go. So what we want to look at is expand outwards, right? We want to look what potentially we might have. So on the overall scheme of things, for example, the 5 minute, which is a channel that we've been retaining for a while, right? We've just sort of slipped in, right? You can see we broke down. We have never closed this gap right above us. and kept on going downwards, potentially closing this gap, maybe retaining these supports, maybe testing the longer term supports, but that's not the issue. Again, the 5 minutes is probably something we're going to burn out within 30 minutes or 40 minutes of the trading, so this is going to change very quickly. What we want to start looking at is the 30 minutes, a little bit prolonged, right? So again, here we have this convergence, but have we crossed over? No, we have not crossed over. And if you're attentive to the channel, even though we're starting to move in this, again, you see the channel gets readjusted. So now you can see it's proper. Earlier you saw basically a segment of the top channel. Now you're able to preview the whole channel in essence, right? It's not going to change a lot between the 30, 45 and 1 hour, but you'll see it get readjusted. All in all, what we can tell from here, that even if we will be moving potentially upwards, right? Because again, there is still some juice to be squeezed over here. Sorry, pardon me, that should be the angle, give or take, but still we have enough juice in the system to find ourselves finding and retesting this kind of, pardon my horrible ability to draw, this resistance, give or take. Again, I'm eyeballing it right now just for the idea, and and conveniently it converges with the channel, so hence I'm probably potentially expecting to see a little bit of slippage, but all in all we are a second away from finishing this correction, right? And then going downwards. Why am I expecting that? Let's continue looking. So 45 minutes, as I've said, the same thing. The channel sort of narrows down a little bit, gets readjusted. We still have the strength to go all the way up over here. The resistance still resides in the same place. In fact, let me be just a little bit, let me get this a little bit prettier so you can see kinda. In fact, I'll probably say that the argument is going to be this instead of the way where how far the wicks go, but that's unimportant right now. The point being, there is a conjunction of several resistances here. Being them accurate or not, you get the idea. When you have a conjunction of several resistances, it's far more potential that even though we have slippage, even this resistance will slow us down and this resistance will stop us completely, making us break down again. But why am I saying that again? So the 45-minute chart looks wonderful. The 1 hour chart looks wonderful. We still may as well close this range. As I've said before, now you can see this resistance actually resides within the channel because it gets expanded due to the way the restructuring of the candlesticks happens and condenses the price action. Hence it gives us a far wider channel. Of course, as always, it takes outside the deviations, the abnormalities, right? And so far so good, very positive. The problem starts once we start looking on the higher time frames. As I've said before, look, for example, 4 hour actually implies potentially a full crossover, because I'm not going to apply any biases, guys. I'm going to work the same, guys and girls, pardon me, I'm going to work the same way on both ends, in that sense that the same way this does not mean necessarily that set would drop back down the same way we do these processes as we keep on going upwards, but that even just looking at the 4 hourly chart, knowing how the momentum gets interpreted into the price action, best case scenario, from what I can tell, we're going to be closing this gap, and this is the best case scenario. If you can tell from where we are right now, we already have sort of a decent path potentially to do just to close this, potentially closing this gap on the bottom. You can see from here. In other words, we're going to be jerked around all over the place. We could be doing something akin to this. So a lot of this energy that you think that you still have in your gas tank and potentially will save you later down the line and will bring us back again could be wasted simply on part of these processes. And by the time we actually get to the point where you think, well, we still have enough reserves, in reality, you don't have a lot of reserves, and the market will continue correcting downwards. Now, why am I saying that? Let's continue with the same idea, but the further we go, we know what happens. We, in fact, are already in oversold territory, so what you're getting are slight impulses, more or less, of corrective movements. So all in all, we're going to get amplified with the movement downwards. Why am I saying that? Same idea, same principle, but we go further. And if you remember, I've been telling you, the weekly is very, very dominant, especially in the way we perceive things, because it sort of condenses what we are seeing on the overarching scheme of things, right? But slightly condensed, even though it's still retaining the upwards channel. As you can see, for example, this channel is still upwards, right? Just so you can tell what I'm talking about. right? We've hit the ceiling, and as I've said, we probably will be starting testing downwards. It still doesn't mean we're just going to be falling downwards, as if it's an elevator or as if the market just crashed right away. No, we will probably going to be testing this area several times over before confirming that we're ready to continue downwards, which is being implied in this territory. Because what we're seeing right now on the daily, and you think you're oversold, sure, you might have a bit of a correction. Even if so, even if you're gonna have a deeper correction, it's gonna persist for several days, a week maybe. What we're able to extrapolate from the weekly chart, on the other hand, potentially will last a lot longer. Okay, we're talking here about, let's say, can vary between 4 to 5 to 6 to even 7 weeks. So that's basically about 2 months. How much more movement can we do in a particular direction for that time frame, right? So can we do more within the daily? That tells us, well, sure, the daily says we're going to be positive, but that's just corrective, right? That's kind of a corner we forced ourselves into by doing these very deep movements downwards. Now the market needs to correct, to have a breather, the same way we do when we move upwards. It's no different. Okay, the same way we have these sort of corrective movements and breathers when we move upwards is going to be very similar when we move downwards. So none of this is surprising, right? It's a process. Now that regarding that, of course, there's still the argument of the rotation. I've said what I think about the rotation. I do think a lot of people have been conditioned. In fact, I'm starting to notice something very bad that is occurring all over the market. It doesn't matter whether we're looking at Tesla or whether we're looking at Palantir. What is happening, so that if we're going to zoom out a little bit, what we're going to realize that basically the institutions are selling off, and we can see it almost every day. The day starts almost positive very often. And you guys are buying into this, and I'm not saying, I'm not blaming you, in particular. Of course, everyone should do what they want. I just sold all my stocks and bought shit coins. No, don't do that. Shit coins are bad. They're called shit coins for a reason. Don't buy shit coins. Mark, what are you doing? This is not a secret, by the way. I'm holding right now 1,500 SQQs. They've paid some dividends for the time being, sort of for commissions and so forth. And I was DCAing into it. That allowed me to have a decent average. Of course, I've actually didn't expect the SQQ to drop as low as they have. So hence my original position started at 19, and I was DCAing all the way just until recently, which created an average of about 14. Those who are interested, I can actually show you on the Discord. I'm not going to be doing that right here. I can show you this position just with the doubters, so to speak. I can show it on the Discord gladly. By the way, shout out to the Discord community. Shout out to all the people who are here on the live. You're all legends. Thank you for coming. Of course, as you guys know, I kind of know all this stuff, so it's brought and done all for you. We really want you guys to succeed, to be aware of everything that's going on. Remember, this is not financial advice. It's just sort of my opinion and my meandering thoughts, and you do whatever you want with it, right? I'm just a dude on the internet, if you will. So all in all, we're gonna see something very similar, by the way, with individual assets, that they're still pointed downwards the same way I described. Even if you're gonna have a bit of a correction, once you start looking at the larger time frames, you realize the market is generally pointed downwards. I know it's unpleasant. I know some of you maybe wanna jump off the stream because of it. It's I'm telling you that your stock is gonna be doing bad and you're struggling with the idea. All nice and dandy, but that will not make it less true. Okay, let's be adults about this. This is a big boy, big boy, big girl market kind of deal. So fortify your emotions or get a helmet, as one lady once said just recently. So again, something very similar, even though we're testing part of these processes, and even if on the daily, this implies that we might have a bit of a correction, right? I want you to understand that on the weekly, we haven't even started to seeing any pain. And the reason I've said this before, that you guys should be very, I've sort of limited the price action between 150 area to about, again, that 250 area, which gives us about $100 movement, right? I am thinking about potentially later down the line, if things will get real bad as I'm expecting them to, we might see 100, but that's irrelevant right now. It's something we might as well debate and discuss further down the line, the closer we get to it, because it's almost several intersections away from where we are right now. It becomes irrelevant. What I am seeing right now, and those of you who don't know, those of you who are new here, by the way, if those of you who have not subscribed yet, please subscribe. That will help the channel, will help you to be up to speed as well whenever I'm posting or going live. So if those of you who've seen the videos and seen my explanations, I said, guys, we're gonna have a retest of these levels potentially. By the way, just what I've described earlier, right? How we break through a certain resistance, and then what ends up stopping completely, well, slowing us and then stopping us completely, is a whole different range that is adjacent to the resistance, the diagonal trend resistance that stopped us originally, that at least slowed us down. As you see, these processes might take a little while. If we're on the weekly, just this sheer process, at least sort of to be more certain than not that we are going back down, took about 4 weeks. All right. So when I tell you guys something is about to happen, don't, go to sleep expecting to see it tomorrow. Some of these things might take a while. Okay. Yeah, I try to be candid, and I hope you guys appreciate the candidness, the honesty. I mean, what's the point? Otherwise, it's going to be counterproductive. It's going to be it's bad. So I'm not going to be doing that. I'm trying to let you guys see what I'm sort of focusing on. The IWM is actually a very interesting thing I sort of haven't spoken about, and everybody keeps on talking about it. And I want to mention how, and I spoke about this before, if Arnon was here, who would be able to confirm. I originally said how, I'll show you this actually, screw what I'm saying, right? I'm going to just show you, right? At the end of the day, what you're looking is the IWM. Actually, I should probably have one with S&P. And the problem is because you're not going to see the full structure of the thing. That's kind of the problem. Oftentimes I tell you guys to use candlesticks. That's going to be probably the only one time when I would say don't use candlesticks. Actually use the line chart. The line chart will kind of assist you to recognize the similarities between the two. Let's just do that for a sec. I'm going to try and bring it in. Yeah, so as you can tell, although there are sometimes deviations, some of these deviations are a little bit more significant, although don't forget that this time around wasn't that abnormal that we had this rough deviation. Why? Because that was post the thing, I'm not going to mention it because YouTube doesn't like it. So you know what happened during those years, right? It was just recent, So yeah, but you can see even the deviation, which, by the way, I cannot show you right now. I will go to a different chart in a second. I'll try to show you that on the S&P chart. So you see everything is rebalanced perfectly. And what you can tell basically is that the IWM was lagging all along. So now they're kind of going towards a convergence point, right? Oftentimes you can recognize, as you can see here, although deviations overall, they kind of work in conjunction with one another. This is not a coincidence, right? So all in all, what we are probably more likely to see is these converge on one another and then more or less move in tandem. It's something that we've seen during this period as well. At the beginning, then we had a more significant deviation. What I'm expecting based upon the structure of everything, I'm just not going to do that right now. I'm just going to do that on the other chart. You will realize, or you can do that on your own charts. Test it on your own. Open your own charts and see whether Greg is wrong or right. That's for you to decide, right? But at the end of the day, actually, do I have the IWM one here? Let's see. Do I have it? No, I'll probably have to turn one on. Let me I'm just gonna clean all that wonderful stuff off of here. And then I'm gonna add the IWM right here. I'm gonna do exactly what I told you, right? I'm gonna turn it to a line chart. Actually remove all the stuff so you can see, and let's go monthly so you can realize sort of how deep the correlation is, right? Both. Okay, perfect, right? So now you can tell. So the blue, now it's the opposite. Now the blue line is the S&P, right? And the IWM is the Russell. Okay, this is the orange one right here. And you can tell basically what's going on here. They're moving towards a convergence, and oftentimes they move alike, right? So if we bring back in everything, it is still everything that I told you guys on the monthly. We're extreme heat at this point. Like the market is just far too hot, right? Even the slightest correction on the monthly chart, in essence, every candlestick will bring it in. You'll understand it's just a month, and let's just pretend, which I'm assessing for various reasons, that it's going to be a little bit worse, right? Let me just remove that for a sec, right? Even with the sort of slowest possible trend, take forever and a bit, which by the way means we're going to be done with it, for example, right, around November, end of the year basically, right, potentially, and keeping that trajectory, give or take, without wasting any time for retests and whatnot, not too many retests. Only that brings us back down to 4,439-ish area. Okay, and we know we can also slide out of the channels, right, to have these slippages, if you will. So that's not going to be an abnormality. Then our support, nearest strong support, if you ask my opinion, resides at 4,256.49, to be really precise. In other words, even if you're going to, and you've seen this phenomenon on the chart just minutes ago, so even if we're going to be slowed down by this, what will actually, more often than not, ends up stopping us is the next best thing, is the next support. And that's only that. That's only this partition. Don't forget, and I told you before, what about if we look further down the line, right? If we realize that, well, these waves actually come in these almost impulses, and it's something that I've tried to explain to you, that in this instance, it seems very positive. It seems like as if we're going to skyrocket and continue moving into oblivion. That's not how the market works. That's nor how these indicators work. And if you can tell, we are moving on a trend down. Yes, we got an excessive high right here. Well, not really that much. It's just my ugly drawing skills, right? Ugh. Oh, come on. But you get the idea. In essence, it is a downwards channel. We're still moving downwards, and very soon, it seems, even the structure, the way it starts to sort of look like we're about to converge, cross over, and start moving downwards. And then there's the 3 months. In other words, what we're seeing here on the monthly, once it starts moving downwards, right, just this partition will be built. Even 2 months will already here on the 3-month chart will start looking and overturning this candlestick downwards into the channel potentially. In other words, turning this back around. Okay, so things do not look all that shiny and bright as people think or would like you to think. And in fact, the way I'm seeing it recently, if I'm observing the market objectively, it looks like literally they're handing over the bags. And everybody got so conditioned into thinking that every movement will have a correction, so much so to the point where people are just blindly FOMOing back to the market even when it has a red day. Sure, potentially if you're looking outwards, 5 years down the road, and you're not gonna mind potentially, I'm emphasizing potentially, seeing a low that is going to be lower than that low that we had around October 22nd and July 22nd. Yeah. So if you don't mind going lower than this and subsequently feeling the side effects on the individual assets, sure. I'm just here to tell you about these things. Questions, kind of, because I really don't have a lot of time. I mean, I kind of broke it down. There's not really a lot of mystery here. Those who are not sure can follow and watch the previous videos. Those who are not here or dislike what I'm saying, and so, I don't mind, feel free to share your opinions in the comments. The way, I don't have an opinion. I'm merely sharing with you guys what I see. The structure that I'm seeing is very worrying all over the place on the individual assets, on the indices, no matter where you focus. It doesn't look all that great. That's it. Ladies and gents, questions? No questions, nothing? That's it? I mean, I'll need to chop the whole stream significantly. It seems like no one has any questions. All right. What do I have, like 2.5 people here? Salute to the 2.5 people I have here, since I have the moment. Again, those who are not familiar or don't know, we have our amazing Discord that is now 14,200 people. Of course, the public partition, the members partition, the private part, if you will, right? You need to be a Patreon to be able to see these. That's it, ladies and gents. I'm gonna drop off. I see we have some of my members there sitting and waiting to have a conversation. Links are in the description below. I would appreciate a like, this, subscribe. Don't forget to move the bell to everything, all that wonderful stuff. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit tired. That's because I am. But that is it, ladies and gents. I might have questions. Maybe explain how I got about learning all that, because I don't fully make sense to me. I do have a course, actually. That's a good question. I do have a course one-on-one that I teach members who are interested. It's relative to what it's worth. You can ask the members who already taken the course. We have a lot of veterans in the community. It's tremendously cheap. It's literally the equivalence of Audi offering you a Lambo for $100, a brand new one. That's the equivalent of the price I take, but it takes practice afterwards. No one says that once you finish the course you will become brilliant at trading or mastering analyzing the charts. It's not that straightforward. It takes a lot of practice. It requires you to be very serious. In fact, I don't onboard people who I feel like they're not completely into this. If I feel the slightest hesitation, I push back. I'm not interested in clientele or students who are not really interested in learning this. But more so, yeah, I do talk in the community quite a bit. I share a lot of opinions, ideas, my videos. You're more than welcome to view these. A lot of these give you a lot more than a lot of the courses I know that are out there and being offered. So there's that. John, yeah, I mean it's look, again, I'm not here to tell you what to do. As I said, I'm not allowed, nor should I, nor should anyone really tell you what to do. We're all adults here. You should gather the information, you should gather people's analysis, potentially, if you could, do your own, right? Gather all the conclusions into a single basket and come out with a result. If you ask my opinion, I'm right now definitely not buying anything. I'm waiting for the market to show what really is going on. Remember, the market can revert in an instant and pull back everything that that entire pull down that we've seen in the last several weeks, if you will. So what is that? What would have been 2 weeks now, all in all. So it might revert in a second. I'm not even kidding. I've seen the market do some really crazy stuff. Although, again, I'm just giving my own opinion. I do think the market will continue moving downwards because the technicals have been screaming that for a while now. I've been sharing it in my videos, in the community, in the Zoom calls. If you guys don't remember or don't know, back in the low, right, in that super unpleasant low we had back then, if you know what I'm talking about, right? That low, the videos are still up there. They're still online. They're still on YouTube right here. You can go and find them. About 2 months before we found the low, I've predicted it almost pinpoint accurate. And I've done, many other projections that are very difficult. Do I get everything perfectly right? No, I didn't think this rally will be this long. It's abnormal. It is abnormal, but it could happen, right? Factually, we're seeing it happen. I had my own reasons. You can look back in the videos. I don't remove any of my videos. I'm not shy of any of my projections. For example, as you can see, if you look back, the $300 Nvidia didn't change. No, not now. I mean, remember, now it's adjusted, right? You all know how to do basic math. So it's basically 30 now, right? Because divided by 10. So it's, yeah. No Bitcoin. No, me not fan of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a scam. I'm telling you guys. Look into Bitcoin's history. It's a goddamn scam. Here I said it. I don't like. The idea is good, guys. Don't drag me into this thing. I talk about it in the community extensively. Join me. I'm there. I'm hanging out half of the day there when I'm not with students or whatnot. I usually give a lot of my time to you guys, and I'm there in the open chats. Join in, talk to me, ask me whatever you want to know. I'll explain. But honestly, I'm not your crypto guy. Really, I'm not your. I'm far more traditional than you guys realize. So yeah, those of you who know how I look and think, oh well, You look on the younger side, so you probably should all be into crypto, NFTs, and all that crap. Not really my avenue. I'm far more traditional. So yeah, love you much, guys. No, really, thank you. I see somebody smashing the heart thingy. Appreciate your support, guys. I appreciate you being here and listening to me talk. What is your opinion on SoFi? I actually made a video on SoFi. I didn't think SoFi will be able to retrace back to. I mean, let's look at it. I honestly didn't think we will be able to retrace back to 8, although that was, well, 8, call it 797 if you really want to be tremendously precise and anal about it, which I do like, being precise. Precise is good. But you can call it 8, because with an asset like this being the low price that it is, every single dollar is a psychological support / resistance. Why? Think about it. Do you get excited for a change of every dollar that happens with this asset? You do. Most people who are involved with this asset do. So subsequently, you guys will show your actions according to your sentiment, and the market subsequently as well. So it's not going to be such a surprise that basically this is a very strong fortified area, having the 797 here, that fib level, and also having a psychological level combined basically into a very, very small narrow area. I was kind of surprised to see 8 again, honestly, because that's for all I care. That is 8. I was surprised. I was very surprised to see this, but no, I'm thinking still that you guys are stuck between, those who own it, stuck between 8 and 4 ish. I know that projection seems very painful, and yeah, when I said originally you're gonna see the 6s, people said I was bonkers. Okay, I often predict things. That's the great thing about actually being able to predict things in advance, and not saying when you see them happening. That's not a shtick, if you will. That's, you have to be, kept in hindsight, right? So look, I'm here to actually show you what I'm seeing as a projection. Overall, SoFi, all in all, if you ask my opinion, has a downward trend, even though we kind of got stuck and retested certain levels, and the market and the FOMO, if you will, of the transition, the rotation, so to speak. People are talking about, got people FOMOing back in. They think, oh, now it's marvelous, the price is low. No, all in all, you just got to retest previous resistances. We had to do this. That's kind of normal. In fact, I should have seen it coming, and I should have seen us retesting the 8 levels. And my assessment is you're gonna see 4. I don't know, I'm not saying again tomorrow, but you will see 4. You will see 4 rather sooner than later, if you will. It's, as I said in as I titled my previous video, it will overall get worse before it gets better, and small caps included. Okay, as I showed you guys, the IWM is screaming it. If you compare between the S&P and the IWM itself, you understand how highly correlated these assets. What happens? I'm pretty sure I had, anyway. Point being, you saw it. Okay, so I'm not gonna redo it. It's the same conclusion. Once they converge, oftentimes you're gonna see them start moving in tandem. Once they move in tandem, of course, if we are seeing a collapse on the larger indices, in fact, it's more or less, you should be more attentive to the Nasdaq, okay, the NDX, or oftentimes people like to ask me, what do you think about the SPY? I don't look at the SPY. I look at the SPX. The SPX is the source. Go to the source. Children, I mean, not children, not you, but people who do that, it's very childish. Why not go to the source? Why? Laziness? What's the deal? Is it harder to analyze? It's a little bit more complex, sure, but it gives you a far more accurate picture of what the indices are actually doing. You have to understand, there's a reason why we prefer to go to the source. John, I hope you don't hate me because I'm not big on Bitcoin. It's just, again, if you want to join in, I'll explain to you why. Join the Discord, hang out, and I'll explain why one-on-one or with the guys and girls there, but I'm not a fan. Okay, Jamie, I hope that answered your question. Are we good here, guys and girls? Because if we have no questions anymore, I'm just going to jump off because I want to go eat. I'm kind of hungry and tired. And I need to talk to some members. But all in all, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it brought you some, some awareness of what some of us at least are seeing, maybe gave you a potential, will give you an edge and an advantage over the market. Will make you reposition or readjust, do whatever you need according to your already existing positions. You guys know, overall we do advocate for the idea of DCAing in our Discord, in our community. It's a good idea, but not at any given times. We also say we don't like to catch falling knives, so I would say, ladies and gents, be patient. Make sure the market has found the bottom, right? The market is more certain. Remember how more often than not it happens. More often than not, it happens that a lot of people end up buying and catching falling knives, and when the market actually reaches a bottom, then they realize, oh, it was a bottom, right? And with a lot more certainty, and then say, oh, shoot, I wish I had dry powder right now, and I had free cash to go, available cash, more liquidity basically to go back in, because now the market has definitely had reached the bottom, and it's rather certain. Thoughts on MSTR? I'll have to look into this. I don't want to do a half-ass job. Again, Mark, join the Discord. I'll definitely take a look at it and share with you my thoughts. But if it's, I look, the idea, there are very few assets in the overall market that, if it's a tsunami, basically, if the market is hit by a tsunami, most of everything is going to get wet. Something are they have adverse correlation, right? Opposite correlation to the vast majority of the market, like the SQQs, what I'm doing. But otherwise, most of everything is going to get wet. You hate crypto. I don't hate crypto. It's not that straightforward, but I'm not a fan of what's going on, and Bitcoin in particular. Again, it's a rather convoluted topic on its own. Ladies and gents, I enjoyed this. As you see, I definitely overstayed and kept on dragging out more and more and more. But I need to run this time. I swear, this time I'm gonna end this. And I hope to see you in the community. I hope you all move the bell to everything, so you'll be up to speed when I'm going live. Join me on live. Have questions? What is that? I just realized I've been confusing this. QQQ and SQQQ. No, no. Ooh. Okay, well, that happens. I mean, that's why, guys, it's very important to be attentive, but that happens. Um, that happens, Casey. It actually happens to the best of us. You'd be surprised, how many times people misclick or confuse assets with other assets. That happens. At least you figured it out early. I mean, it could have been worse. Look at it this way. I'm currently holding 1,500, and I'm probably going to be buying more. Work email, whoever you are. Bye. Yeah. Bye. Cheers. Yeah, I need to go, guys. I really need to go. I really am starving at this point. I need to go. But don't worry. Join the next live. I'll see you then. Bye for now.